Welcome to Charleston County RoadWise. This program is designed to keep Charleston County citizens informed of the many infrastructure improvement projects that are financed by the transportation sales tax. And now, here's your host, Cheryl Harleston.
Welcome to Charleston County RoadWise. It's good to have you here with us today. We're going to be talking about the projects that have been funded under the transportation half sales tax, but we're also going to be talking about several projects that are involved and give you some idea as to how much they cost and how we got to this point. You know, we're going to be collecting, we hope, $1.3 billion in the next 25 years to improve roads, bridges, resurfacing, and all of those kinds of things. Very fortunate to have the man who understands the money with the Transportation Sales Tax Program. He is Keith Bustrain, and he is Assistant Administrator and Chief Financial Officer here at Charleston County. As a matter of fact, we're at the Charleston County Public Service Building conducting this interview. And let me say hello. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good to have you.
Thank you.
You and I have talked before about this.
We have
and you're the guy that knows something about the money.
Something.
Quite a bit, I should say. But there have been a number of people that we've talked to throughout this time and during the life of this program. We're on about 12 programs now. And we want to keep the public informed as to what's going on. But one of the questions they're always asking is the money. Will we have enough money to carry us through? But I want to back for a moment. How did we decide to come up with a half-cent sales tax? Why not a penny, like Berkeley and Dorchester County?
Well, the initial law that authorized it anywhere between, or any up to a penny of sales tax. It could go up in 1/10 increments, which is a little bit confusing. I think the leadership that looked at this program and looked at the needs kind of backed into that number. They decided what the long-term, maybe 25-year requirements were for green belts, for roads, and for transit, and worked back into that over a 25-year period, and it turned out to be a half penny.
Do you think a half penny was more acceptable by the public at that time? And if the answer is yes, then I'm wondering what makes them accept the penny from Dorchester and Berkeley and from the school system, who recently asked for a penny and got it.
Well, to the point of the other counties, I believe that I'm not sure, but I don't believe that their tax program is 25 years in length. I think it's for a shorter period.
That's
I think it's a 7-year, maybe a 7-year period. So you would, if you're trying to generate as much money as you can, you're going to go to a full penny. I believe the leadership, the community leaders in Charleston, frankly felt as though a half penny was just more palatable than asking the voters, because remember, the voters had to approve this tax, and it thought it might be more palatable to be a half penny rather than a full penny. You know, our sales tax in Charleston County is already up to 8.5%, so citizens are sensitive to taxes as they always should be, and so I think the leadership just felt as though a half penny would be more palatable.
We're going to be talking about bonded projects in just a little bit, because I want to explain to the public what is meant by a bonded project. It's a pretty good inflation beater, I guess, if you borrow the money early and not wait on all the money you need to accumulate over a period of time. So that makes sense. But I'm just wondering, if we go back to the public now and say we need that other half cent, and we're going to extend this thing or back it in, maybe we'll take off a few years or more. Will that kind of thing work now? Is the climate ready for that?
Well, is the climate ready? I'm not sure on this day at this time that the climate is appropriate for that. However, just because of the economic recession and difficulties that citizens are experiencing. But I know that since the time this project started and since the 13 projects were voted on by the citizenry, I know a lot more needs, a lot more projects have surfaced, and a way to start that up and start another cycle would be with a supplementary sales tax of maybe another half-cent. Reason being you'd have to add to that is because most of the half-penny sales tax proceeds between now and the 25th year are pretty much spoken for debt service payments. We borrowed money and we have 20 years to pay it back. We borrowed some of it initially right away, and we borrowed a little bit more. And so we're going to need that half-penny to complete the debt service payments over the next 20 years.
I'd like to go into more of that with you, but I think I better get to the bonded side of this thing. Because in 2004, the referendum for the half-cent sales tax finally passed. And then in 2006, we went to the public for bonded projects, a bond referendum. Is that helping? I mean, is that going to mean that we can build more roads and bridges and resurface streets?
Well, the benefit of bonding, which means borrowing money, is, just as you mentioned, we had two alternatives for some of these very large, expensive projects. The Johnny Dodds project is between $70 and $90 million. If we would have to first generate that sales tax income and bank it and wait till we had enough money to start the project, first of all, the citizens, I think, would rightly be a little bit impatient, saying we implemented this sales tax, why aren't we seeing our projects? But also, it has the benefit of building it now, beating 20 years of inflation. When we started, fuel prices, petroleum prices, which is a large part of our expense in roads, were a little bit lower. It's higher now. But the idea is to build it now and avoid the inflation that occurs over a long period of time. And also, you'd be sitting there with banking a lot of money with it not really doing anything, and frankly, in these days and times, not even earning a whole lot of interest.
Is county council, not necessarily as a representative, but you do work closely with them, have they given any thought to what we're going to do after we've built these 12 or 13 bonded projects, and whatever monies we're using for allocations projects, which are the street repairs and widening and intersection improvements and all that? Is there some discussion going on right now about how we take this from here?
I don't know if there's any discussion going on right now, but I understand in the past there was some thought that after we successfully demonstrated to the public that we have built a number of projects that we promised to the citizenry through the voter referendum, that they might be interested in taxing themselves another half-penny to take on all those new projects that have surfaced since 2004.
You know, I have a chance as public relations manager to take a look at all of our projects, and there's some good-looking projects out there, and much-needed projects. This community is growing by leaps and bounds. I'm especially thinking about Mount Pleasant and the Harborview area and Johns Island, etc. Somehow or another, we're going to have to not only build more roads, there's going to be a maintenance cost somewhere along the way, because you can't let these roads get out of sort like they were before. Otherwise, we'll be starting all over again. Is any thought being given to that?
There was a lot of thought given to that. I believe among the bonded projects, there's only one bonded project that ends up being a locally owned road. The rest of the roads are improvements to state roads, and the state has the responsibility for maintenance. Now, I understand we pay state taxes as well as we pay county taxes, but from my standpoint, being the CFO for Charleston County, the maintenance costs for those large projects, with the exception of Palmetto Commerce Parkway, maintenance responsibility will be the responsibility of the Department of Transportation, the state.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting idea, because the Department of Transportation, the State Department of Transportation, has not been able to build its own roads, and I can say this to this point, and I'm wondering if they're going to be able to handle maintenance, because we're not the only ones in South Carolina with a sales tax building roads all over the place that belong to the state.
That's right. In fact, that is one of the main reasons that this issue was brought to Charleston County's public, was because exactly that. The state is not maintaining their roads and not improving the roads to meet the needs of our community. I know that at the state level they have talked about increasing the gasoline tax, which is very low in South Carolina.
Was it 16 or 17 cents?
And has
Everywhere
not been,
else is 30 cents and
yeah,
40?
It has not been changed, and that's the Department of Transportation's source of funds for maintenance and construction.
It's mind-boggling. That's all I'm thinking right now. It's just mind-boggling. And I wonder where we're going to be in the future. I mean, we're such great planners here at Charleston County government, and it seems that we're looking up the road and trying to make an effort to make sure we have good, solid, safe roads and highways for our citizens, because they deserve that.
Right.
And their taxes are being paid to assure that we do that for them. But I wonder about the next generation, the generation after that, and I guess that's a personal concern. It's not your problem. When you who collects that money anyway?
Well, consumers pay it, and they pay it to businesses, and then the businesses on a monthly basis remit sales tax receipts to the State Department of Revenue. The State Department of Revenue remits collections every quarter to Charleston County. They remit it with interest to us, so we get a little bit of interest. Again, interest rates are particularly low right now, and so they collect. The state businesses collect, pay to the state. State remits to the county, and the reason for that is, if the county were to try to start collecting that, it would be kind of duplicative, because the state is already collecting the other 7.5% of sales tax. So we might as well piggyback on their resources. It's more efficient that way.
Is there any interest on that money going to anybody?
Well, on top of the interest that the state earns while they hold our money for that 3-month period, we of course invest the interest, invest the funds and earn interest. But I'll tell you right now, last time I looked, we're about 0.4% interest. That's not. I mean, Woo! That's not, in the larger scheme of things, a lot of interest.
I would like that to refinance my house, but not for Charleston County government. Exactly. I mean, you just want to see a little bit higher.
Earning is not too good.
Want a little bit higher there, it would seem. I tell you, it's a very challenging situation that the county's going through right now, and I know there are a lot of decisions to be made, and thank goodness we have guys like you and who know what it's all about and can explain it to us, especially to the public in layman terms, and we thank you so very much for that.
You're welcome.
We'll do this again sometime.
Okay.
It's been a joy to talk with Keith, and now we're going to take a look at one of those projects that's almost completed. Lots of information, a lot of money that's gone into the project. We're going to hear that from Patrice Smith, so don't go away.